You need to secure profits the smart way. How are you going to do that? It's quite simple. Are you tired of blown accounts, emotional trades, and second guessing every entry? It's time you discovered what most traders overlook, which is the Malaysian support and resistance strategy. This isn't another trading concept, it's a proven edge used by disciplined traders to catch clean entries, right trends, and grow account consistently. It's how smart traders move from chaos to control and from losses to real profit. I believe you are actually a smart trader. Low risk entries, high reward trades, and structure based setups that make sense is what this strategy will give to you. So today we are going to use GBP USD as our case study. In addition, by the end of the video, I'm going to show you a proven way to identify a trend direction. That's to confirm your trend. Okay, so let's dive right in. So the first thing I want to do is we want to go to the higher time frame. I want us to leave it so that you have an understanding of how these things work. So let's just cut price action. So you might quickly say, isn't this an hindsight? Of course, this is an hindsight because I have to teach you in hindsight so that you can understand. However, in the execution, it was real time. All right, you can see it. If I remember, I will drop the screenshots on my editing, and you will see them on my free Telegram channel. Okay, so let's dive right in. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll go to the higher time frame. So assuming that you want to, let's clean the chart a little bit. Let's say you come to the higher time frame. So you want to start with the daily time frame. Of course, you can start with the weekly, but in this scenario, all I did, I started with the daily time frame. As you can see to the left, there wasn't anything significant there yet. So what we'll do is we'll go to the 4-hour time frame. So on the 4-hour time frame, we need to identify a resistance level. Okay, either a support or resistance level. So on this day, what we're able to identify was actually a resistance level. In case you don't understand what I mean by resistance level, I made a recent video before this video. I will drop the link in the video description, and I want you to watch that video after watching this particular one. Okay, so after we've identified this, we need to confirm our trend. How do we confirm that? By going to a time frame lower. So what does this mean? This implies that if we are looking for our overall trend on the 4 hours, we need to go to the 1-hour time frame to look for our entries. So once we are able to identify our entries, or rather once we are able to identify our break of structure on the 1-hour time frame, in this case this is our break of structure. All right, so what do we do now? Let's go again. Let me show you. So if we go to the 4 hours, for example, let's cut price so that you can understand this clearly. So on the 4 hours, we have a sweep. If you look at this vividly, you will see that this candle failed to close above this resistance level. So which means this resistance level is capable of pushing price to the downside. So where are we going to target? Of course, we are going to target the fresh zone, the fresh support zone, because if you are looking for your storyline on the weekly time frame, then your take profit has to be the next storyline on the same weekly time frame, the same as daily and as 4 hours. So these are our liquidity levels where we want price to come and take. So what we do is we go to the 1-hour time frame. What are we looking for? The 1-hour time frame. On the 1-hour time frame, we are looking for confirmations. Okay, so at this point there are no confirmations yet. What is our confirmation? We want to see a break of market structure. Do we have anyone yet? Of course, this is our break of structure. So what do we do now that we have our break of structure? It's quite simple. So this break of structure actually confirms our storyline. And what storyline is it? Is it daily? Is it weekly? Or is it 4 hours? Of course, it is your 4-hour storyline. So this is our 4-hour storyline. So immediately we see this, what we need to do is we need to go to, let me show you. So we have this as a break of structure. So we'll call this probably a break, or I will love calling it CISD. Okay, so these are CISD. Plus if we go to the line chart, what are we going to see? We'll see that we even have a double break of structure right there. We had one here, and this was another one. Right? So we had a double break of structure indicating that price is willing to go to the downside. So what do we do in this stead? It's very simple. All right, let's go back to our normal candlestick chart. So what we need to do is we need to go to the higher time frame, in this case 4-hour time frame, and we mark our zone. And how did we do that? So this is actually a 4-hour level. So let's increase this 4-hour level. We have a 4-hour level, and we have this as a 4-hour level. So these two levels are our 4-hour levels, key zones that we are anticipating price to sell from. Then another thing we could do is we can go to the lower time frame and look for potential inducement. Okay, potential inducement. So can go to the 15 minutes, or it could even be the 30 minutes. It doesn't really matter much. Okay, especially if you are trading using the 4-hour storyline. So if you are trading using the 4-hour storyline, your inducement should be 15 minutes. But if your storyline is on the daily, then your inducement should be on the 30 minutes preferably. Okay, so let's remove this so that you can have a glimpse and understanding of what I'm doing. So another thing we could do is we can look for trend line confirmations. All right, and of course those are just confluences. Right, as you can see, there is no valid trend line there that we can use. There is no anyone here. Of course, we had one here that is a little bit close, but for me that wouldn't be enough. So if we go to, all right, so I would love to pick this zone as my trend line. Now I would love to pick this zone. Okay, this zone, but still this zone is not really perfect. It's not perfect yet because it's not actually a perfect. So in this scenario, there wasn't actually a perfect trend line here, except let's check this one. Of course, this is a break and retrace trend line. I think this is the best. This is the closest to our entry. All right, so plus this, all we need to do is we need to identify our inducement. Okay, so inducement is the only thing remaining. We've set our limit, already know. Remember, this our limit is coming from where? The higher time frame. So I know that I'm going to look for selling opportunity from this time frame right there. Okay, so I know I'm going to look for selling opportunities right here. Now plus this is, so let me show you, sorry guys. So London session starts somewhere around, yep, around here. Right, we have our London session there, and the likes. So what are we looking out for? Our inducement. Do we have inducement before the entry? No, there wasn't any inducement. So automatically we expect that price sweep this high. Why is that a high? If we go to line chart, that's exactly what we see right there. So we expect that price sweep that high before we can start looking for our entry opportunity. So it was after inducement have been formed that I decide to take my entries on this particular zone. Okay, so this is exactly how you can also filter out bad trades. Okay, so let's play price and see exactly what happens. Okay, now there was actually a nice drop there. Now the thing I wanted to take out from this particular example is that, one, you need to wait for a valid breakout. You need to wait for a valid confirmation of the storyline. Now if you notice, this was a 4-hour key zone. These are the 4-hour level, right? And if we go to the 30 minutes, like I said the other time, we can see that we have our inducement here before price came here. So there wasn't an inducement here, so that's why we have to wait and wait for price action to do its thing. Now plus, let's say we waited, right? So if you had waited, of course this is where you want to use for your trend line. But take note, when you draw this trend line and it's not in line with your entry, you just delete it like this. Just take it out. Why? Because trend line is just going to be an extra confluence. It's not the reason why we are buying, neither is it the reason why we are selling. However, we can also notice that there are other opportunities we can use to draw our trend line. In this case, it could be that this is a break and retrace trend line. Okay, as you can see, this wasn't in line with our entry, so what we'll do is we'll look for the one that is in line with our entry. And I think this particular one is a bit perfect, or even this one right there. Exactly. So this one was actually perfect, and if we go back to our line chart, you can see that that was actually a perfect trend line. Okay, so I hope you're able to understand this particular example. So the same thing that we're going to do, what day is this? Is this the same day? So of course we have the next day. So on the next day, what are we going to do on the next day? I'm trying to check. This London session opens here. This London session open. So we need to check each day you need to check the daily, each week you need to check the weekly, and each 4 hours probably you might want to check the 4 hours. So on this particular day, this is a new day, so we can go to the 4-hour time frame. If we go to the 4-hour time frame, you will notice something remarkable. And what is that? You can see that these zones that once were supports, they are becoming to turn resistance, right? Now they were violated, and automatically that turns resistant. Now, aside from that, we need to also understand the power of trend direction. Remember, this price is coming from here, and where did we draw our levels? I think, oh, I don't think it was here. Let me show you. So this is 4 hours. Remember, if you remember vividly, when we started, I said we have to draw, we have to target the opposing fresh key zones. So automatically this becomes our long-term draw on liquidity on the 4-hour time frame, right? So that's exactly how we're able to get that. Okay, so knowing that price is coming from here, what do? We can start looking for our key zones. Of course, this was a key level, and of course we have a key level right there. So the question is, do we have a trend line that we want to trade with? All right, we check. Okay, so our trend line is here. Okay, so I wouldn't want to take this. All right, I wouldn't want to take this. So if we go to the 1-hour time frame, we are going to see things more clearly. We can see that break right there, and remember, we are selling. Why? Because we are in the 4-hour storyline, which have not ended. Plus, we see that price is violating the roadblocks. All right, so there's what we call the roadblocks to the trend. Okay, so the roadblocks to the trends are usually the areas where price might likely react from to retrace before the continuation of the trend. But in this case, you can see that price blew through it, so automatically we are anticipating more sales. So what do? We look for our inducement. So we have this inducement. Look at this candle. This candle traded up, pushed down. If we go to lower time frame, we'll see it a little bit clearer. Okay, so you see it on the 30 minutes, it's quite clear. So what do? We go back to our entry time frame, and we look for potential zones where we want to look for our sales. So you might say, okay, will I look for sales here? Will I look for sales here? Will I look for sales here? Now let me tell you something. You need to understand confluence, and you need to understand the story. There is every price action has a story. So you need to have an understanding of that story, because it is that story that gives you an idea that this is where price might likely reverse from or not. So if we go to we mark our trend line, for example, we're going to have this. Let's check this again. We have this zone. Okay, of course not. Of course not. We're not going to use any of those as our levels. Okay, are we going to use this? How about this? This is a break, of course. This is a perfect one. Now this trend line is what we call the break and retest trend line. So you see, it was a trend line, first touch, second touch, broke it. So we're expecting retracement. Remember, we're not trading this blindly, where we have a storyline. All right, we already have a storyline coming from the higher time frame. Do you understand? So we have our inducement, and of course, this is London session open. So I will already have everything we're looking for. So at this point, I had to set my limit order there, and we play price, and okay, price pushed, and of course this should be our closest target, right? And plus we have a higher time frame target right here. So this was the day, and this day had passed, right? So we look for another trade. So this Wednesday, and I think on Thursday there wasn't actually a setup for me on GBP USD. So we play through that. So let me show you why there wasn't a setup. Okay, remember that we are bearish for the pair, right? And look at it. This is Thursday. Okay, there wasn't any level where we want to look for sales. Okay, and I wasn't really interested in this as at when price came. Of course, this was where we could have also looked for sales. Why is that? The reason why we could look for sell here is this: we are still bearish, coupled with our inducements, right? Liquidity have been swept. More liquidity was engineered right here, right before price touched there. Do you understand? Right? Of course, and I didn't take my trade on Thursdays, as I earlier said, except for Fridays. So this was Thursday. This was Thursday. So there was nothing for me on Thursday except for Friday. Let me see. Okay, so I think this is the ending of, you see it. This is the ending of. This is the ending of. Okay, no, this one. The next candle is the ending of Thursday. So at the ending of the day, we need to look for look at that price tab. But do we have a break? Now this was actually another zone. We definitely have a break right here. Okay, we have a break right here. But you see, I wouldn't be taking sales from here because this is Asian session. My London session starts from here. So this is where I'm going to be looking for my entries. Do you understand? All right. So that's where I'm going to look for my entries. Now you might quickly say, oh, since we're bearish, doesn't mean I'm not going to look for buy setups. No, that doesn't mean so, right? But if you're a beginner, I don't advise you to do so. Look at this. All right. We also have another what? Another zone here. 4 hours. Break of structure. Which means we have what? A new storyline. A new storyline. Now, if we go to the daily time frame, we need to identify, okay, where is daily coming from? Where is daily coming from? Right? I know that there are lots of drawings on my chart right now, but I just hope you are getting this. In case you don't really get this, there is a video I will drop in the video description. I want you to watch that particular video. I'll drop like 2 videos, watch them, and thank me later. Okay, so the next thing I had to do, of course, I will have to wait for my trading hour. Okay, because most likely I'm not interested in, especially GBUSD. I'm not going to be trading that on during the Asian session. Okay, so at this point we know that for me, I was willing to buy. Actually, I was willing to buy because we have what? This was a 4-hour key level. Let me write that for you. This was a 4-hour key level. Key level, and we had a 1-hour break of structure right there, indicating that price might likely push up. So automatically this becomes, this zones, of course we'll find that on 4 hours. This zone becomes the closest zone, closest level where we want to, that's if we take our buy from here, closest levels where we want to take our profit. Okay, so let's go to the 1-hour time frame and look for our entries. So at this point, I was actually willing to take my entries. Of course, this was a perfect zone. Now let's look for a potential confluence where we can take the trade. Okay, so let's use our trend line. So trend lines are very, very powerful, guys. They are very powerful tools. So let's see. So we have this as a break and we have this as a retest, but you see there wasn't a it was too far from our entry, so we're not interested. And look at this. Of course not. This wasn't enticing at all. Okay, let's check here. Okay, so you see this one was actually close to our key level. All right, in line. So we have many things. We have the timing, we have direction, we have storyline, we have our confirmation, we have liquidity inducement, we have even engineered liquidity. Look at this. So you might say, okay, why did I not take this trade? Let me play price and I will show you why. Okay, so look at this. Even this one, this was an engineered liquidity. All right, so this was the exact trade I actually sent to the Telegram channel if you are on there. All right, meanwhile, and you see this was our what closest take profit level. Do you understand? And remember, we are also bearish overall. Oh, my chart is becoming too clumsy now, right? But I believe if you follow the video, that if you do not really blink your eyes, you will understand exactly how all of these things worked, right? So this is it. Now, for the overall bearish storyline, we started here. Remember, we said this was what? This was our target. So this was supposed to be our overall draw on liquidity, isn't it? Yes, but in between, we now had a 4-hour key level printed here, confirmed with the 1-hour break. So we have 4-hour key level, with 4-hour break. Do you understand? So automatically, and also we also had another level there. So price came mitigated that, and we're not interested in selling that because that was the Asian session, and of course this was the closest as at when my trading session had come, my trading time. So that's why I took that, and of course not, I did not take the sell. Okay, but you see, it sold during the it bought during London and sold during New York. So of course you would have caught something like caught GBP USD like this. Okay, maybe your stops will have to be there. All right, let's not talk much about stops for now. And where is your closet? See, look at this. This is the fresh zone. So we expect that price come at least and touch any of those zones, if at all. Now, also, like I said, I said in the beginning of the video that I want to give you a bonus tip on how to confirm your bias. Right now, take note that as price kept coming down, price was doing what? Creating lower lows, lower highs, lower low, lower highs, right? Lower low, lower highs. And yeah, according to SMC, we had what? A change of character right there. That was the actual change of character. But if we're trading SnR, of course we can use this, right? But the reason why if I'm trading normal SMC, the reason why I will not use this as my change of character is because this did not take liquidity, except if I check it on Euro USD and is maybe it's an SMT divergence, then it's cool. Okay, so automatically we have this as what? A strong low. This is actually a strong low. Okay, so usually what are we expecting? We expect roadblock from where? From 1 hour. 1 hour. Why? Because our storyline is what? On the 4 hours. I just hope it's actually becoming clearer. So this was how the market actually closed, as you can see right there. All right, so this is quite simple. It's something you can do. You can make a whole lot of money using this my simple approach and trading system. By the way, in case you don't understand the video, I want you to watch it at least 2 to 3 times. You are going to grab this, take notes, right? And of course, watch my previous video on this. Check the video description in case you want to join my VIP signals or you want to join my mentorship. Okay, I hope to see you on the next one. Let me know in the comment section below the particular topic you want me to cover next.